Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles, and we have a very special video for you today. I can't remember the last time I did this kind of video. This is the KV2. But while I've featured plenty of KV2 derp shot moments in episodes of Why You Have to Be Mad, it's been a really long time since I've seen a KV2 replay where the entire battle from start to finish is just a testament to the ridiculous power of 152mm derp. In fact, I think it's been so long since I saw a replay like this that the last time it happened, KV2 still got into tier 9 games. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Anyway, this is Sat64. He's driving his KV2 with nothing but high explosive loaded, as is only good and proper. And he's in a tier 8 battle on the Stalingrad map. It's a standard battle, none of that encounter rubbish. Very wisely he decides to follow the crowd, because when you're in a tier 6 heavy in a tier 8 game, you don't want to make yourself an isolated target. Unfortunately, he seems to be suffering from a bit of a lag spike here. His ping's been going all over the place, and then it suddenly settled rock steady on 44 milliseconds while the camera sort of struggled to catch up with the vehicle, and he drove straight into the building there. There it goes again. But things appear to have stabilised, no harm done, and he's free to continue catching up with the rest of the team. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, or perhaps new to World of Tanks in general, the reason why the KV2 with this 152mm howitzer is so insanely popular, it's down to a couple of reasons. The high explosive shells on this 152mm gun have 86mm of penetration. That's pretty good for high explosive. It means that it can penetrate the front of a lot of the tier 6 tanks that it's going to face, but it can also penetrate the sides and rear of most of the tier 7 and 8 tanks that it's going to face. And even if it doesn't penetrate, it's high explosive, so it's still going to do some damage and kill crew and knock out modules. First though, comedy moment ahoy. Bit of a brown trouser moment if you're in a KV2. That's the T28 HTC. It's a reward tank destroyer, tier 7, and has a 105mm gun that does 320 average damage and has 181mm of penetration. Of course, if you're a real tryhard, you'll just press 2 and puke 224mm of gold penetration at everybody, because hey, clearly 181mm of pen isn't enough to deal with the KV2's 75mm of armour. Oh, it bounced. Oh. Clearly 224 wasn't enough to deal with the mighty KV2's Strunk Stalinium 75mm of armour. This is why people love the KV2. Well, that's not really why people love the KV2. It's what happens when you pull the trigger and you hit something. That, right there, that is why people love the KV2. It's high explosive. I mean, you can fire armor piercing in the KV2, but you're doing it wrong. Playing the KV2 is a bit of a lottery in more ways than one, and not just because of the horrifically bad accuracy of this 152mm howitzer. You never know exactly what's going to happen when you hit a target. Of course, it's usually something pretty good. Oh, was that more gold? It was. Oh well, he'll do. Yeah, that right there is why people love the KV2. 910 average damage with the high explosive shells. Of course, to do that kind of damage you have to penetrate what you're shooting at, but that's where the 86mm of penetration comes in. And even if it doesn't penetrate, it's high explosive, so depending on the thickness of the armour where you hit, or if you hit spaced armour, depending on how far from the hull of the vehicle the actual spaced armour is, you're still going to do some damage. In fact, you don't even need to hit the target to do some damage to it. I've seen multiple examples of the splash damage from these high explosive shells. In fact, we're going to see an example right now. There you go, hit the Tiger P, and incidentally, he also set him on fire. But the friendly Tiger was so close that he actually took, well, he didn't take any physical damage, but he took some module damage from the high explosive splash. And I have seen and shown multiple examples of where enemy tanks with thin enough armour have been so close together that one shot from a KV2 has taken out all of them. But back to the action, and it's our little friend in the T28 HTC again, and ironically enough, now he's not firing the gold and he actually penetrates and does some damage. But He's going to be very lucky to get another shot off because he has just run out of friends and he's been swarmed and surrounded and is dead. Right. Well, the team have been doing incredibly well over on the western side of the map. There's still one enemy tank left, and SU-122-44 is still running around, shooting at things. Over on the eastern side of the map, however, it's gone all, well, kind of pear-shaped. So, while SAT-64 and the KV-2 and this Dicker Max sit around here waiting for things to shoot at, I have a bit of a confession to make. I never used to really like the KV-2. Now, before you nail me to the nearest cross, allow me to explain. Way back, I think we're talking prior to patch 7.3, the KV-2 never existed. Well, it did obviously, but it didn't exist in World of Tanks. Well, actually it sort of did. I'm going to have to explain better than that. At Tier 5 there was a tank called the KV. And that tank is basically this thing, and the KV-1 that we have in World of Tanks at Tier 5 now. The thing was, the KV had the option to research an upgraded turret, that turret, and an upgraded gun, that gun, at Tier 5. If you think the KV-2 is ridiculous at Tier 6, imagine what this thing would be like in World of Tanks as a Tier 5 Soviet heavy tank. Oh, by the way, somebody in the team is very upset with the Type 64 and he's furiously pinging the map in his general location in an effort to make him do something about that SU-122-44 that's still running rampant around the western side of the map. We're going to see the Type 64 later, and yeah, he might be no use to the team alive at the moment, but he does have a pretty good excuse. So, they're being capped. 3, possibly 4 enemy tanks in the cap circle, and we can't really do anything about it with a Hellcat shooting us in the back. And that's when the FV-4202 pops out and kills the Oni. Now, he just saw that there's a KV-2 sitting here, but it's unbelievable the number of people who think it's a great idea in medium tanks, hell, in tanks of any description, to drive out sideways on in front of a KV-2 with a gun loaded and aimed. There's only 4 of them left, but the Type 64 is about to die. The Object 252U is doing his best to try to do something about the cap situation, and unless we can kill this guy, we're about to lose our artillery. But that was never really in any doubt, was it? I mean, it's the KV-2, it's a strong tank, it's no problem. Anyway, artillery saved, and we're probably going to need him, because that Object 252U is, well, let's just say the odds are against him. I mean, he prioritised the Scorpion G, because that has by far the most dangerous gun out of the tanks that he's facing, but he's still struggling a little. I mean, you can only angle your armour against so many different tanks, so we need to get up there and give him some help. We're going to start with the IS. Derp, yep, gotcha. Remember that artillery that SAT-64 just saved? Yep, here he comes. Running away from the SU-122-44 who just finished kicking the friendly Type 64 to death. Not quite sure why SAT-64 bothered saving the artillery, he just ran straight in front of the T-34-85's gun. Well, you can probably appreciate his panic. If I was in an AMX-13F3, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near an enemy SU-122-44 either. Oh look, that was gold ammo from the T-34-85M. Well, fancy that. Oh, have we gone over 5% yet, Wargaming? Oh crap, there he is. Oh, well, there he was. I love this gun. I mean, oh look, the Hellcat's trying to be sneaky, bless him. He's actually giving us time to reload. Well, that was very generous of him. Kill number 8. Radley Walters medal. In a Tier 8 game, in a KV-2. The Object 252 is taking his time killing that T-34-85M. And that will be more gold ammo, of course, that the T-34-85M was firing, and because, you know, he's having to try to kill an Object 252, but I'm pretty sure we've gone over Wargaming's magical 5% gold ammo fired in the average game of World of Tanks number by now. Anyway, they've done it. Well, they haven't quite, there's still the enemy artillery to find and kill, and the Object 252U offers SAT-64 the option to join an impromptu battlefield platoon, and this of course is a good idea because, well, they've got 12 kills between them, so that's a crucial contribution medal. And assuming they both survive, they both have 3 or more kills, so it's also a brothers in arms. Well, while they're looking for the enemy artillery, time for another little trip down memory lane. I talked about how ridiculous this tank was when it was tier 5, and effectively a combination of the existing tier 5 KV-1 and this thing, the tier 6 KV-2. It also had the option of the 107mm gun that you get on the T150, by the way. It really was the best of all worlds. There was one tank that could kill the KV at tier 5, and that was the Panzer IV. It's not the Panzer IV that we all know and love in-game at the moment, which is just a pale shadow of what the Panzer IV used to be. The Panzer IV at tier 5 used to get the Panther turret and long-barreled 75mm gun. It was the only thing. Oh, there's the Type 64. There he is. Well, that explains why he was no use to the team alive. He's flipped himself. Oh well. Those things are so hard to steer. But yes, the Panzer IV, way back when this thing was a tier 5 heavy tank, the Panzer IV had the turret from the Panther, the Schmalturm turret, and a long-barreled 75mm gun. It was the only thing in a tier 5 game. If there was a KV on the enemy team, you better pray you had a Panzer IV on your team, or you were probably going to lose. And it was going to be a red letter day for the driver of the KV, because there was practically nothing that could kill them, aside from artillery. But that's another story. Anyway, back to this game. 5 minutes left, enemy artillery could be anywhere, and if you absolutely definitely want to find enemy artillery, he's the last one left alive. Oh, there he is. Well, you draw him out by sitting in the cap circle. And the final reason why we all love the KV-2 is because you don't actually have to aim with it. Just point the gun in the general direction of the target, and the hand of Stalin will reach up from the depths of hell and guide your shell to the target, as is only right and proper. So, yeah, 9 kills, SAT-64, KV-2, tier 8 game. No problem, comrade. It's a strong tank, best tank in the world. Soviet engineering. Yeah, it's a lot of fun though. SAT-64, thank you so much for sending that replay in. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.